Hello? Thanks so much to my awesome Patreon community. Couldn't do it without you, and couldn't do it without Volt, our long-term supporter and food supplier. Enjoy this episode. So I welcome Zdenek Kubik here, the film adaptation of Checkmate Mena, a domain speculator and producer. Hi. Why did you opt to come for an interview?
He extended an invitation to me.
I'm happy about it because when I was preparing, which is unusual for me, I could watch a film about someone I'll be interviewing. And the initial question that comes to my mind is it an authentic movie? Is it truly based on your life to a significant degree?
From 50, 70%. Yeah, but there are some unnecessary things there that are not true. Moreover, there are completely absurd nonsense there. Yeah, which everyone will reveal anyway, which nobody believes, like Escape from China in a container. It's just nonsense. I don't know why they put it there. I don't know why they put it there like that.
True that this is one of the two scenes I got stuck on and I was like, wow, why is it like this? Not possible for the virus to spread from China to the continent.
In reality, during the film production, my disappointment grew progressively. They inserted nonsensical elements and made alterations to the facts, which was highly disheartening and frustrating for me. So I was disappointed with that movie until later when I saw how much those people actually liked the movie, and when they met me, they said, yeah, that movie, it really influenced me a lot. I say, what influenced you? So I acquired a certain level of fondness for that movie after watching it.
Look, honestly, he influenced me a lot too. And it's not just talk, because when you look behind you, I have the book Checkmate Man, which I got as a gift from a good friend on my birthday. And actually, when it came out, I realized a lot of things thanks to it. And regarding money and regarding business. And I truly appreciate the chance to actually have a conversation and clarify some of those aspects in the film so that you can accurately depict how it truly occurred.
But hey, I appreciate how everyone takes something from it. Maybe, I'm not saying it wasn't there, but it was there specifically for you. And for someone else, there was something, and everyone took something from that film, so it's not just a film, it was a tool, but for you. The main thing is that you realize this. If you understand, that means it wasn't there a priori in the movie you took. It wasn't necessary at all.
That's true, but when I was talking to my friends, they had a slightly different view on the matter. What actually caught their attention or what they realized because of it. In any case, what's great about this film is it's on YouTube, so we can link it. I'm unsure if it's on Netflix. Is he still there?
Perhaps he is still there. I do not know. He has been there for a long time. I had my copy there with English subtitles. Here, the Dominator left me, the holder of rights at AQS, I mean, who obtained all the films somehow from no gaps. But Checkmate Mana, I have the rights to that. I even have contracts for it. You know what I'm saying? It's really quite remarkable. But I am, and I don't care. I didn't solve it. And Igor Chan had it there. He has it on that channel, which is interesting. That's Ezo, otherwise a person. But we just became friends when I was doing Ezo, and so it's there. And he came to me once and said, look, they deleted it, that I violated rights. And you told me that you have the rights for it, so I wrote him a response for YouTube, and I told AQS that if they leave it there, I don't care. But if they don't leave it there, I will sue them for that movie. Having a contract, you know? Otherwise, I don't care. They sold it to Netflix. They're small, as if.
So Checkmate Man is just Checkmate Man. Okay. If I were to get into your entrepreneurial beginnings, you were selling books in the 90s according to the movie. That's true. So that's what you started with?
I started first in Germany. I sold myself, which is also true, but not really smart, as someone always fell in love with me there, and I lived with them for a while.
So you were a professional companion, correct? Yes, indeed, absolutely.
And that was because maybe you didn't have those entrepreneurial ones before. No, I didn't have, actually, I have a trade license since as soon as it was possible, 1991, I think, and I sold newspapers first. I went to the printing house every morning, bought a bunch of fronts, went to Zalewski, and maybe in 2-3 hours I earned what others do in 2 days. Then the company that provided the newspapers actually arrived at the location, so they purchased remnants of West German magazines in Germany for a single penny, for the price of old paper that was no longer in demand. And here she was selling it at full price. And they need to give 10% of that. It seemed like a lot to me because I sold it for 10,000 on the head. I had braces and I earned 1,000 from it, which is equivalent to maybe $5,000-7,000 today, which is the amount I made per day. So I was like really dizzy. And actually, they fined me for smoking on that balcony, so I was fired and I came there. I don't know, maybe 2 months before that, some jerk came there, such a clown. Well, I came from Munich. I'm stepping there, that's great. Such a fact is ridiculous. He said, so come, and when you arrive, give me a call. So when I lost that spot on the cap, I called him. So I arrived and called him. And so you went to Munich, and I traveled to Munich, and I didn't have any money at all. I couldn't speak German. I only had a limited understanding of the language. And actually, with today's understanding, I would never do something like that in my life. So in the first few days, I slept on it. Luckily, I had a Friday ticket now, where the exact time is not yet specified. So I slept normally in the waiting room, and when the police came there, I simply learned to hear them in my sleep. So I only heard the door being opened. I sat on the bench, ticket inspection. I pulled out that ticket where the date was not specified. So I was spending several nights at that place.
And then you still found some people with whom you educated a companion. So, and in that movie, it's some German.
Yes, he is German, but it was a little different, but it's not completely far from the truth. So I was with a Czech person. They helped me a lot, the Czechs. I lived with him. I never had anything with him. And actually, they were tossing advertising into the toilets. So I was driving with them and throwing advertising into mailboxes. Differently in the countryside, even in Munich, quite a good experience. And that, for instance, I observed 100 marks each day. And during that period, it was equivalent to half a month's wages consistently, yeah.
So there was purely that motivation because you did not have money and you wanted to make a living?
No, I'd make a living, but I wanted more money. So what drove you was that you just wanted, I don't want to pretend to be a fool here, you know. And I do not have any negative relationships with it. As an example, during my teenage years, I genuinely desired to be homosexual. I wanted to be gay, but it didn't work out, did it? I am not gay. But I used to hang out with gay people, and there were also artists and stuff. And that was still during the time of the Bolsheviks for me. I genuinely aspired to embrace homosexuality and explore my true identity. It was like a better company at that time, at least for me.
Maybe it radiates a bit from that movie, the actor says. You know, like in that selected company, which, like in quotation marks, I don't have it as watched as you do. No, and then after you returned from Germany, where you were working as a companion, let's say, it was fine for you, it didn't affect you that you had. For example, I had someone from the Brazilian embassy who actually gave me money so that I wouldn't be there in that particular circumstance, experiencing the difficult challenges that you faced during your time abroad.
And I only went to him for the weekend. He provided me with a train and even gave me 400 marks, which was a substantial amount of money at that time. And I just came to him on Friday and left by train on Sunday evening. He must have had some personal charm, right? I do not have knowledge. I do not comprehend that. I have never had any females. Girls never crazy for me. Don't know, coincidence.
In the movie, it's recorded you ended up in a mental institution, as it was discovered you wanted to commit suicide and they wanted to lock you up.
How did this go? I was in Blasens. I was at Karloff. There was a restaurant across the street, so I went there with my paycheck, got drunk there, and before, maybe I still do it now, I don't drink anymore, but I just used to provoke a lot. So the waiter broke my nose with a header, and because it was in the hospital, they said, well, we'll send you for an x-ray. So they sent me for an x-ray, and I don't know how I ended up with someone, and what do you have here? So they sent me straight to the psychiatric ward and said, just stay here for observation, just so we know that you can go back to doing what you were doing, which was also a part of life. They couldn't take me back there, right, to the hospital as auxiliary staff. So I discovered myself at Karlovo Psychiatric Hospital for approximately a month.
Released you? No need to stay?
Certainly, however, they never took me to the hospital once more.
Did you meet that legendary leg there?
No, I encountered her leg at a later time. I would like to have a roofer here, for example, someone who primarily wrote our scripts, in order to understand why they put it there. These nonsensical but unnecessary. The plot did not move anything anywhere. It was completely useless.
There is also a very crucial moment when you place a bet on a horse with a jockey and emerge victorious or manipulate certain wagers.
I was acquainted with jockeys. I unintentionally caused the death of jockeys. Those jockeys were Smolik and Khalil, who were in the pubs in Vinohrady, and I was there as well. So we knew each other. I don't want to say friends, but sometimes we drank together. And one day he said it was exactly that Cyril Methodij holidays. He said, look, a lot to Warszawice, I have something there. So, well, I went and suddenly I woke up in the hospital. Subsequently, my ex-girlfriend approached and informed me, Smolik has unfortunately passed away. So it was a quite challenging period. I was not myself at all on the following day. After consuming alcohol, I had no idea what would occur to me, and I was fearful that the criminal organization would pursue me. And all those idiots, they will kill you now, you idiot, he was driving for them. And once a person helped me a lot who was moving there and he said, you are crazy, they would like to thank you even more. He was not reliable for them yet, as if...
So that jockey was involved in some kind of betting, manipulating horse race betting?
No, I do not want to speak ill of anyone here, but during that time it is likely that was the case.
Lucas entered the archive and we discovered a lightning from that time period. Did you manage to find it? Which one is from 94? I'll send it to you later. We even have a photo of the accident here. Yeah. I don't know what your car is, if it is. It's not there. It was a green Zhigulik. Not there. I'll send you the article. We'll show it to the readers as well. The main thing is that it's a bad photo. The lamp fell after the impact occurred. Aha, okay. Then we found another mention that it was there. The hockey player Smolik is dead here. And then there were 2 front pages. So it's not it yet, right? Because this was on the front page of the sports section.
No, it was a headline. It was at least on the front page of Blesk. Okay. I didn't know, I didn't buy it, but my dad just collected it as if someone collects when their son wins the Olympics. So my dad cut out my headline from Blesk, how I had an accident, right?
Based on the newspapers Lukasz sent me, there were ads for brothels and fraudulent investment schemes indicating a different time. This suggests the content reflected societal norms of that era, providing insights into the values prevalent during that period. Those were the pure 1990s. And the information I received was that he was avoiding serving the sentence, trying to evade the consequences of his actions.
I actually possessed those bookstalls. So I needed to make my way there and stay for as long as possible, right? Because it supposedly made good money at that time. I don't know, maybe like decently, maybe 100 liters per month, which was a lot for me at that time for someone who had been making 1380 clean a few years before. And the money, there has been a bit of inflation, but they were still decent money. And so I kept avoiding. And I resided somewhere entirely different. And then we traveled to Italy on one occasion for a soccer game, to Sparta. And I needed it. Bernard just called me for something. And I needed a confirmation for Bernard that I was out of the country. So I gave them my passport. The bus arrived. I asked, I would just need confirmation that I left the country. All right. And shortly after, approximately 4 of them came back. Therefore, please accompany us. And I've already been to Budějovice boarding. And then the gentleman walked.
You have great luck in that movie. Something good always happens to you. There is that lieutenant guy who is somehow cool.
No, the largest one like that didn't...
But perhaps it symbolizes your happiness, correct?
Life. No, we already know this recently to you. You, Mr. Kubik, have happiness running in your blood.
It happened with that prison too, that you were lucky.
No, but luck. His leg went towards him, didn't it? The leg was looking for someone and finally found someone, because I was supposed to go to... I'll forget it now, I told you last time. To Upraha.
Valdez? Rikini. I don't know any prisons.
Říčany, now the prison doesn't exist anymore, and there were actually gypsies and drug addicts. Because I had records there, various ones, psychiatric card, so automatically Říčany.
Awful prison, or?
Look, I ultimately reached my destination because naturally I had money on Pangrak. I went there to buy alcohol at the time. I had a harmonica with me. They would allow me to leave, but I simply provoked too much. So they sent me to those Říčan for the past 2 months as a form of punishment. However, it was not that terrible. However, there were only parties, gingerbread makers and this.
So the initial sentence was located in Pangrak, and subsequently you were positioned in Říčany. Honestly, I don't know many people who've been in prison, and I can't even imagine how it actually works there.
Hey, I was in the overall. In good prisons, it can be said that there was no bullying. Moreover, after the revolution, there was already such a thing as what was said about prisons at that time. When I was already there, I was afraid of everyone because before, for example, during the communist era, you could beat someone up as much as you wanted and they would break your face for it. But when I was there, everyone was scared someone would beat someone up and extend their sentence, they wouldn't get parole, and so on. So there was no bullying where I was, there wasn't, nothing. Okay. The worst thing for me was that you're really with demented people, with whom you wouldn't even say hello normally on the street. For those with demented conditions, prison is tolerable as they are surrounded by intellectually astute individuals, which can be advantageous, don't you think so? Clearly.
But when you are, let's say, an above average intelligent person, that's what I read from you. You have an IQ around 150. I think you measured it.
Hey, I'm in the canteen, I measured 148. Aha. But otherwise, it is intelligence quotient. An intelligence quotient itself is terribly complex. So, for example, I can do almost all the canteen tests quite quickly. But IQ also consists of other tests, but they won't test you in that canteen anymore. And in addition, the real maximum IQ is over 130, such as 160 and 200. These are simply nonsensical. I was with a woman due to my fear that my mind was beginning to lose control because I couldn't recall a single word and similar things. So I was given very comprehensive personality tests, and there I scored an IQ of 132 as the maximum possible in one area. And she also informed me. And in certain regions, such as 107, I'm like, what, am I really so unintelligent? But it's an incredibly intricate matter. So I'm completely stupid about a lot of things. For example, my wife can confirm that. You're an idiot, yours. How come you don't understand? That's just how it is.
So it is said that somewhere you get it added and then somewhere you have it taken away.
This is comparable to an urban legend. In my perspective, there exist individuals who, when they possess, have an abundance of everything in great quantities and varieties. As if it were some kind of same center in the brain, and if you're smart, you're also a bit clever, or you have more of those things, and if you're an idiot, usually a lot of things don't work for you. It's not like you're an idiot or something. I don't know, you're good at sports, right? It's not a rule, you know? Usually, when you're a talented artist, you can draw, sing, and do everything. As if they were similar centers located in that brain.
But I would still like to go back to your life because after you left prison, you go to China in the movie to do a white horse. Did it actually occur?
It didn't happen. Look, wait, 90. I was selling, especially when I got out of prison, I went to sell those first books, right?
So this happened in front of those books.
And particularly after incarceration, I went to sell products at a stall, like watches, cigars, and other items. And there, at that time, the ticket simply cost 4 crowns, and they went to forge it very easily, without encountering any challenges or obstacles along the way. So the guy brought me, for example, 10,000 tickets for half the price. And to sell them, because the most was sold in the center, so I worked on Monday, Friday at Českomoravska, and Saturday, Sunday, I also went to Václavák, to Muskudulu. For example, 4,000 tickets were sold over the weekend.
False rides.
Only the boys I took did not say anything because they required 2 pennies in order to have lunch. They were selling them only so that the meters would come out in line. So I went out into the street and I really tried to sell those fake tickets. So I had an 8 over the weekend just on counterfeit tickets. This amount is now equivalent to, for example, $30,000 or $40,000 in today's currency. Or 25, I don't know. I would have to recalculate it somehow.
But it's always been like that. You've been wandering through life a lot because you even once said that there is a very thin line between ending up homeless somewhere in the city center or living the way you do now.
No, there were numerous possibilities that could have unfolded if I had ultimately ended up completely on the other side, yes.
How was it with China?
Hey, so wait, then I was selling books. Yeah, and I was actually selling books with this one guy who I organized it all and got places on the subway, right? You know. And I desired to take the broker exams at that time, and he stated, I am aware of an individual. He will provide instruction to you, and that appears to be convenient to me. Thais have a different name. Thais. So we were learning and we understood each other very well. We laughed a lot. And for A, at that time I had, for example, 700,000 saved from books, which is actually unbelievable because I was spending and doing stupid things, but I had 700,000 left. Additionally, during that period, it was already late in the evening. I discovered that, for instance, the new value-added tax, VAT, had commenced at that time. I learned that by submitting a written request, I had an overpayment of 300,000 VAT, and they promptly dispatched it to me. And I wrote another 250,000, and they sent me away. But I was a peeper, well, because other guys back then wrote maybe 10 million or 20 million, which I wouldn't dare to do, you know. I had nerves anyway. And I was prepared, If that was the case, I would find a way to disguise it, yeah, somehow. And then we were coming up with things like, on construction sites, so we'll create a fake construction company. Because construction companies have always had overpayments in tens of millions. And I already had a project in my head, you idiot, I will create a fake construction company. We will make a fake yard where there will be fake machines, and maybe we will make 10 million monthly from that Berniak. But that's what it was, you idiot. But such a plan was, well, and then then the books came to an end, yeah, and then I went, and I paid for everything. And Zdenek and I fantasized like this, imagining all the possibilities that lay ahead. Then they took me, then I went to sit down. Well, then they let me go, and I came back, and he was suddenly a big wealthy guy, damn it. I couldn't believe my eyes. For a year.
And was that the VAT?
No. Then someone told me, I don't know, he sold weapons to Yugoslavia or something. To put it simply, he was the type of individual who quickly made friends with everyone and was well liked by all. As a result, he was able to capitalize on this talent and turn it into a lucrative source of income. And so, what are we going to do? And we actually didn't know what. So Steno at that time actually kissed everything from his, so there was an office. It actually cost a lot of money at that time, an office by Chinese standards, which was quite expensive considering the local economy. But actually I started in something that was worth it. $3,000 per month. I lived there and had an office. And as they gradually ran out, I downgraded. Then I found out that it's actually very cheap to operate there. We've overpaid all along, right? And we're still nothing, I don't know, we made a shift. Mr. Vank just came. In a certain sense, he was acting as a white horse, when he actually needed to purchase land in the then emerging Pudong, which is now widely recognized as the most developed part of Shanghai, renowned for its modern skyline and thriving business district. And at that time there were fields spread out all over the place. So he formed a joint venture with me because the white mushroom resembles it, so he brought me to a few. There were some communist individuals and regular people and such. I gave a lecture in Chinese at that location. I believe nobody was able to comprehend anything. Therefore, they could perceive that I am his Caucasian companion. Did you learn some Chinese, huh? A bit, but poorly. I lack the talent. I can talk to a taxi driver, I can talk to girls, but somehow it's disappearing. And actually, that's how he always took me somewhere, maybe did some action, and then took me to KTV, and there we got drunk, girls and so on, simply, without any complications or fuss.
So in a way I made a white horse, and actually for very little. And that white horse relied on the fact that you provided legitimacy to his Chinese business, that you were someone from the West and that you had some know-how maybe.
No, the legitimacy that it appeared more favorable on paper, he possessed it all, he had familiarity everywhere. However, in order to create a positive impression on paper, during that period a white mushroom simply denoted something superior. Those were the 90s in China. In Shanghai, no one is waiting for you anymore, even in Shanghai people. Foreigner, yeah. And I meant Germans who were there with Volkswagen since 85, yeah.
They had to be renowned.
Yeah, it must have been completely... So like that white mushroom, today on the contrary, then mainly people from America started to shit there. Various failures, they started to act as teachers there, and they gave us Bilain a bad name there.
So you actually initiated a business venture in China?
He founded, but later that means the first part, there we tried to offer... It wasn't, I think, a bad idea. We had a girl here in the Czech Republic who was visiting big companies, and we offered them representation in China, which I would lead. They would pay for some feature and could show people, here I have an address in China, here they answer my phone calls, here they handle my emails, etc. However, we didn't find anyone at all. For instance, here we have expenses of $5,000, so when we approached 10 companies with $1,000 each, which were small amounts, but we simply couldn't find anyone. Each one, so represent me there and I'll give you a percentage, but just like that, I can't do something I don't understand. Well, that's really difficult. I learned a bit about glass at that time, so we had a stall with glass there. Actually, I tried to sell chandeliers, which are such polished glasses. They are used, for example, in jewelry. We completed the sale of about 2 chandeliers, with each chandelier being sold for a price of $50,000. The buyer of these chandeliers was Mr. Vang. And otherwise, well, and then, so every month it was like a hole, it didn't make any money. Then I opened it there, for example, and also with the wrong one. You know, you go to successful bars and you say, that's business, you count, they're making money here, so you'll open a bar too. So you open it, but no one goes in there. Such an error in thinking.
I know that a friend told me they were in China, but in a small town, like provincial, and they were paid to go to a bar, an attraction. That there were Caucasian girls and that it drew people to go there and consume beverages.
I had a girlfriend. She is a very beautiful girl. And she was, I don't understand at all. She was in Da Nang, Hong Kong. She was 18, a beautiful girl. She couldn't speak English at all. Then she fucked her husband with me. I still don't understand how it's possible to this day. No one understood it. And she took me to their home. So we arrived in a small town, and while we were walking, a group of people followed us. But that idiot went over there.
You then escaped from China in a container, which you said is in a formula?
No, nothing happened. I flew away. He said, well, look, I won't pay for it anymore. And it's like he sent me, as they say, no, he got rid of me. He just refused to have anything to do with me anymore. And at that time, I was dating a Chinese girl, and I said, I'll be back. And I was looking for a Czech company here that would need someone in China and send me back there. So I've been searching for about 9 months. I was almost giving up. And I made photocopies of a classmate from high school who made a height, borrowed me an explanation. I added my name there, copied it so that I wouldn't know what control it would pass. I thought it was easy. Then I got a great job, purchasing manager, won't say where, responsible for purchasing office supplies with an annual volume of about 1.2 billion Czech crowns. If you do not put 10% of the money in your pocket, you are simply being foolish and not making a wise financial decision. So a job like a pig. So I went for it personally. It was like a company with owners from a different country, not local to the area. So I went to the personnel depth. Well, here's the explanation. And I need the original or certified notarized copy. So I went to the individual who actually possessed the entire purchase, and I was supposed to purchase only items for the office. I say, well, I apologize, but I am similar to a liar, and I do not possess a college education. Do you have a high school diploma? I say, yes, I do, but I also copied it. I say, so I won't be needed at the graduation. Everyone has it. So I went for it again. No, we also need the original or that. So I went after him, but I feel really embarrassed about it. Sadly, I lack a high school diploma. He didn't ask more, so you have elementary school. It didn't come to him, so I'll try to inquire. Normally, I don't know, someone again who liked me for some unknown reason, so much that they wanted me there, but they didn't succeed in the fact that I simply can't be responsible for the purchase of 1.2 billion. Thanks to what he found a company there later, which sent me to China and actually started there first. I was sent to the GM Electronics company to do shopping for Qi electronic components. GM Electronics, the company that sent me, is still known today for its electronic products. And I agreed with them that I can start my own business on the side there. So it's true that by coming there, I saved them tens of millions on purchase prices because they shopped there at terrible prices. And in the meantime, I began my business with flyers, which just at its peak, for instance, I sold ice skates for $3 million annually, but there was a margin of, for example, 40%. 40%. I was fortunate once again. Google commenced, which indicated that I had the opportunity to advertise on Google as one of the first advertisers, and one lead only required me to pay 8 cents, a remarkably low cost. Later, that lead cost me approximately $8 to $12, which is 100 times more. Then one flyer which was sold for $1, a white flyer that signifies 2 patents. The blue squadron and the yellow phosphorus are on it, so she was sold for $1. I bought her for 2 cents. So when I was selling it to her, for example, for 20, for 30 cents, my hands were tearing. So there were margins like pigs, simply. And then and once more, because I mostly did it myself, like I had Chinese individuals, but the primary aspect I had to handle by myself. And because it bothered me that after the weekend, when there were many orders on Monday, I decided to advertise there. I decided to advertise over the weekend. That ad made hundreds of dollars over the weekend, as expected.
And was it an e-shop? Or did people place orders in a form there?
Orders being inputted into form. Form still exists. Leds.com still works somehow, now done by Chinese girl. Everything going down, but still somehow supports her.
You're there instead of people ordering, so you gave an ad.
No, I put an advertisement there, but I left it the same. I just placed an advertisement there. And I know her. That advertisement, when you have an advertisement on websites where goods are supposed to be ordered, it takes away a lot of orders from you. And I didn't care. I'd rather have money from ad, change order, because it annoyed me on Monday. And then I say, when such nonsense earns me maybe $1,000 a month, why not just create websites like that? Maybe around 10 or 20 pages. It could be a viable option for me to consider. And this is how I got into domains. Then I bought domains. So for example, an old domain, someone doesn't renew it for some reason. And I consistently observed what was on her. And whenever it was intriguing, I purchased that domain for $1, for $1. And I brought back the content that was previously there from the web archive, restoring it to its original state as it was before, just as it had been. Again, the guy programmed me into that script. I just finished it manually. Sometimes some links or something don't fit. And I placed an ad there, and that is how I obtained approximately $3,000 per month over a period of time. And then Google crushed me because of copyright infringement. A few people complained, so Google growled at me and banned and canceled my account. However, I have already completed domains and discovered that there is type-in traffic, and there are tools to find out that traffic and so on.
Talking about how he did it from Czech, not China.
No, not from China. I lived in China until 2014, and this is 2004.
So you lived in China for another 10 years and dealt with those domains, because in that movie it will happen. So you go to the internet cafe and show some companion.
JT in the cafe, Honza Barta, JB, but it was a completely different experience. I had the opportunity to meet him in the United States in 2007, and it was during that time that he shared his truly innovative and inspiring idea with me, which left a lasting impression. I think 2010 came up with that idea. We probably met twice in America. We got drunk. I informed him regarding myself, we need to create a film about it. Therefore, that is his concept. Certainly, that is an idea. And I stated emphatically that I have no desire for anyone to have knowledge of my existence in any manner. And then I was actually in the Czech Republic, for instance. In 2020, I rented an apartment here because I had a child with a lady so that I could be here more frequently. And all this time, my bipolar disorder has been getting worse little by little since I was young, but I didn't know what it was. So I had, for example, during my time in the so-called Mani, so I just kept on writing down ideas and thoughts that came to mind. I had ideas everywhere.
Well, anyway, about those domains. In China, you met Honza Bartu. I have already done domains. Domains done already.
I previously had a highly successful business. And in reality, I truly accomplished it. I achieved it. The main thing was that I was buying domains that expired in auctions. This is something I do, something I can do, something I'm good at, something I understand the most. And Honza Barta returned at that particular time and was fully aware that antivirus had a plugin installed in the browser or some other similar functionality. To put it simply, when an individual entered an address into the browser that did not exist, they would be redirected to a so-called NXD, which is an abbreviation for non-existent domain. And NXD is very powerful for different reasons, and mostly it's a jumble of data. Typically only 1% is from the browser, and you don't know which 1% it is. But this was a clean browser, very valuable data, and he originally said, look, I have this data, I'll sell you for $400,000. And I say, look, I do not like this risk, we can commence it jointly, I will provide the funding, I will undertake it, but you will furnish me with the data without charge. All right, and at this point, I have it on Twitter. On Twitter, I depended on the fact that in the final stages, prior to its conclusion, it ended because individuals gradually started to realize it. You simply become aware of it, and they began to voice their complaints, indicating that the antivirus program is actually tracking it. But I don't know how we did it for a year after year, so I made about $3 million, and Honza made about $5 million.
The effort was rewarded. It was worth it.
And if I purchased that data for $400K, I would be better off. But it doesn't matter, I don't regret it. So you did those domains together, the remaining I did my own, plus this was something extra. Then I was performing, for instance, there was a tool called Overture, I am unaware of its actual name. And it was actually Yahoo initially, or Overture. Then Yahoo acquired you, it was the first to implement contextual advertising. Only after that did Google replicate it. Yahoo was the first. It bought the company Overture, and they received, that means on Yahoo, when someone searched for domain.com, they logged it. So you were looking for how many people are searching for shoes, and it turned out to be 3,500,000. And how many people are looking for body.com, and you got, for example, 3,500, some number. Then it started to convert. Everyone created their own. What is the value of it? How many times this number? I still have the Overture. I don't know when they canceled it, 2.9. But at that time, I made a complete copy of what was registered. I had it made. I still have this database and it still helps me a bit. And it's actually 14, 15 years old data.
And in order to explain it to the listeners or viewers who do not have a complete technical background, let's say, what I comprehended, the way you do it. Or one part of that business is that I want to go to Twitter, but you have a domain Twitter with one T, and an advertisement jumps on you. People click on it, and you have some money.
I used to do it before. I used to focus solely on that, but today I only do this exceptionally when I feel like it. However, for these domains, they generally earn a very minimal amount of money because Google does not monetize them and everyone is afraid. So the only individuals purchasing traffic are those dubious traffic buyers who are willing to take the risk. Sure, some advertisers who will give you, but again, not enough. These domains already make little money, except for a few cases. I have very few of them. I buy them very rarely, rather that they are painted there, but I buy domains that simply don't exist. But today, everything is a trademark, so you can't avoid it. But you will simply know what is defensible and what is not. I believe it is justifiable to take control of the domain in order to maintain authority and protect its integrity. Once I employed a lawyer, he requested 12,000 euros. He nearly messed it up for me. He won only because it was unbeatable in court. Since that time, I have been representing myself as one of a group of 6 individuals. Out of the 6, I have emerged victorious in 5 instances. So when I take 12,000 euros, I have earned. And usually I give the answer here. I've been writing to her for 2 days, but most of the time I'm thinking about it. I will write it down and then put the answer together. The basis for the answer is that they are normal judges. They think like judges. And how does an American or maybe even a Czech judge think he needs a document for everything? That means you provide a statement and provide him a slap, provide him a print screen. A regular individual would state that is absurdity. No, provide him with such a large amount of paper and he will be content. Capture a screenshot of anything on any statement. Here, please, here.
Attachment 1, Attachment 2, Attachment 174. In that film, certain quantities are mentioned. What is the amount of money it earns? How much did that domain without a home generate for you?
So, I'll say I won't talk about the present, but I'll talk about the past, which is not that far away. I actually wasn't a resident in the Czech Republic until 2014. And during that time, for example, I received $500,000, $600,000 into my account monthly. From that, I bought some domains, paid something, but mainly I was actually a terrible procrastinator. Until I met JB, who mentioned, hey, you're earning a substantial amount of money. Are you aware of that? I say, I don't know. It doesn't seem, but I was an awful know-it-all.
Did Honza Barto influence you with his advice on how to live, or did he not?
No, then me. And I say, well, yeah, he is actually correct. I make a substantial amount of money.
So now I am sorry that you earned $700,000 from this jumping, you say, monthly.
No, but I don't know how much of it was net profit. I never cared about net profit. Because I spend all the money on new domains. I am just neutral about it. I purchased domains. I made payments for everything. And something was remaining for me, something I expended.
And we'll figure it out that you actually make more than $1 million a month.
I am telling you, for example, obviously you earn several $1 million per month, clearly. Currently it's worse, and I won't comment now, but I can tell you that in the past you can extrapolate the present situation to some extent.
So let's assume you were capable of earning hundreds of millions of crowns, that you were capable of earning with that.
For instance, it made 100 million annually. 100, not hundreds, but 100, clearly.
Apologies, it may have disrupted your chat with Honza Bartovi, who advised you to enjoy the money.
My wife is laughing at me, but I never thought about playing football when I was in elementary school. Can go to the football, and then a classmate said, I am going to play football and you can come, or it did not even occur to me at all. And it must be expensive, right? No, it cost about 8 crowns per ticket. And then I remember from Pata, the Green Lawn, we only had a black and white TV at home and that roar. You fool, it never occurred to me I could play soccer until he told me. It just didn't occur to me. And it never occurred to me I could enjoy it until Honza Barda told me. I know it sounds absurd, but then I lived in the Czech Republic in Kempinski. Everyone knew me there. They knew me there, so it's called something else. But there's simply what I was doing there, for example, at the bar. I often sat there and, for example, I remember I drank a lot. Perhaps I am aware that I lived maybe in a chamber just for the purpose of keeping champagne and 1,000 crowns. I think they drew lots to see who'd bring it to me this time because I ordered like 5 or 6 of them overnight. So since Barta told me that actually that I earn a lot, I said, okay.
Did you and Hansa Barta solve any other tasks besides domains? What do you mean by that?
No, we didn't do anything else.
So it was only about domains because it follows in the movie that you met. You were doing domains, and you placed a bet on a Porsche, which you subsequently purchased for him, which is probably... That's nonsense.
But unnecessarily. I think that the summer was more interesting than what they came up with there. Until this moment, I still don't understand. Until now, no one has explained to me why they completely made up such nonsensical information.
Hey, when you look at what money brought you because you said that Hansa Barta had to tell you to start enjoying life, it probably brought you some positive things. If you could enjoy, do you feel any freedom and so on? And did it also bring you negative things?
No, it did not bring any negative consequences or unfavorable outcomes to me in any way. I like people, for instance, you can't purchase happiness with money. You can purchase many things with that money. And happiness is mainly some state of the brain. And the best thing is, of course, to get to a state where you don't want anything. Then you'll be happy, but sadly it's not possible. You always want something. You at least want to eat, drink, and pee. These are the basics. But you always have something in your head. I would like this. I'm cold. We always want something. And those are the primordial desires, and then the wanting, not desires, but rather a strong and intense wanting. And then you engage in sexual activity, of course, but then you have, I desire to possess this car and this. And those are just trivial things, however. So I mentioned that, for instance, during my visit to Cosma's restaurant, what I enjoy the most about having money is the ability to purchase something.
No, you won't acquire it.
No, that I can buy it. That's the best part.
I have it similarly. I think that I have money for something that I maybe wanted before, and now I don't want to buy it anymore because it wouldn't make me happy. Look, back to those domains, because from what I read, you registered tens of thousands of domains, for example.
Well, wait, when it was, look, maybe we did, wait, I have to go because there was an event at VeriSign like this. We registered domains with Hansa at that time when it was still possible, when within 5 days, that means you paid VeriSign $8 for a domain, or around $6 at that time, $6 for a domain. When you deleted it within 5 days, VeriSign returned those $6 to you. Yeah, so for example, what about me? I know guys who at that time registered about 600 million domains, legends. 600 million domains. Comnet.org did. Absolute legends at that time, absolute legends.
But there must be some automation going on there. It's not done by various clicks, but when...
I carried out a multitude of tasks manually because we were handling small volumes that required individual attention and manual effort. But I kept getting numbers from Hansa every day. I went through it, sorted it from the biggest, crossed out those obvious nonsense. But you know what? What is obvious nonsense? There could have been spam traffic, which was highly profitable. For example, there is a domain with the characters 7x-OOBCDF. You might think it's nonsense, but it's actually a remnant of a spam campaign that has been running for possibly several months. Yeah, it continues to refer to that website. So she has the ability to earn hundreds of dollars, correct? Even though they have already deleted this domain, they are still driving traffic to the domain, but that would still generate enough residual traffic.
Clearly. I am wondering if this business is not going downhill at the moment, because people use a lot of social networks, and maybe that Google search, that AI is coming, which is not the AI for searching and so on. But do you think this business is going down the drain?
But it appears to me that there is an excessive amount of theater surrounding it, and that it is highly overrated. Good, you are talking to someone, but you are not talking to AI. You are talking to some algorithm that perfectly copies someone else's answers. AI doesn't invent anything, it just puts it together. I know that's how the human brain works. But this AI still seems quite dull to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's something like self-driving cars 10 years ago too. Yeah, in 10 years, all cars will be driving themselves. In my opinion, not all cars will be driving themselves in 30 years.
It is likely that we may be overestimating it. Now, we may overestimate it as a short term, but we may underestimate it as a long term.
Sure, we don't underestimate, so we can imagine what it will be like, and it depends on what authority you give to that AI. When you allow AI to launch a rocket, you are acting foolishly. It is impossible for it to occur if it carries out the task.
Still about those domains, actually some interesting pieces again. I own. And do you still own it?
I still have, now I spent, I don't know, maybe $10 million on domains.
Did you also sell a domain to Babish, the same person you sold the other domain to?
I sold it to Babish, you know. I bought, and it was a ship. I had Facebook, which now I only use Twitter, Zdenek Kubik 72, if anyone wants. No, I like talking to those people. And now someone on Facebook, look, I have 650,000 CZK today. All right, that's good. So I purchased it, and then during that time, Motelek provided me with the contact information of the dealer, which is simply the greatest advantage of having a motel subscription. You have access to his contacts. It's just about it. It's like interesting reading. I enjoy going there occasionally, but at least twice it put me in touch with someone I needed. Once he gave me the contact of a matchmaker, and then Sukup Babish and someone else thought, so I met with Sukup, I wrote an email to someone. I don't actually know who I meant. There were 3 potential buyers for me. I think someone from Prima.
And do you think he's a suitor from what TVB owns? Yeah, sure.
I met up with him. He said, maybe I'll change my mind. Now I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in 14 days. No one made a phone call, and a certain law firm made a phone call, so I explicitly stated that the price is 2.5 million, okay, and so where should we send it? I said, plus VAT. Aha, so wait, yeah, we got it. But I saw that it is a law firm from Babish, that if he uses the same law firm, and it is one of the few potential buyers, so of course it is exactly today, or today there may be a purchase of a subscription or something like that.
I know I saw something under the hat, I think. Yes, no, definitely, definitely. And did you have Twitter? Yeah, I mean.
What I had, yeah, Twitter, well, of course, but I had Twitter with 1 T, I think, or without E or something like that. That's absolutely brilliant. So look, guys, those who started it, but look, for example, I started in 2004 and everyone, it was already late, but it wasn't late. It was just the right time to start because Google for Domains started. Until that time, there was not a lot of opportunity to monetize those domains in the Western countries. And suddenly Google started getting involved and paying premium prices. At one point, Google made 12% of its revenue from advertising domains. 12%. Then it gradually started to shave and other platforms and other sales were created. We could talk about it for a long time. But I just came at that time when Google for Domains was actually created in the spring of 2004. And I started in the underground in 2004 when it didn't matter that much yet. But it already started, and there the peak was actually maybe 2.7, maybe even 2.10. It used to earn 2.10 as unbelievable money.
Beware, checkmate mana, how to do biz on coke. It's not vital how you speak, but mainly that you speak.
How's your crypto? I bought 30 bitcoins for $100 each, and all those idiots, you're an idiot, it's a bubble. Do you believe you have been negative in life? Yes. Once I employed Yvette Bartoshova, it was an enormous tabloid journey. Are you the founder of the so-called fecal marketing? For 50,000, I overwhelmed the whole republic with the advertiser Babovreski. Any issues with cash and vulnerabilities for banks? So I opted for the money, but a million, I mean nothing too excessive, and it genuinely was for this purpose. And I say that's for personal use.
From my perspective, you have experienced a lot of difficult things.
You're demanding a debt, so the cool guys came. Second day, the 3 of us, I was depressed. Bring me about 4 bottles of wine.
It's a completely legendary Kazmova one-man show. You came there and set fire to money, you snorted coke there, and you also had some weapons there.
It was like unimaginable what JavaScript...
It appears to be a great case that you can create and create and create and create and create and create. The ability to generate and 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 generate adds immense value to this case, making it an incredibly versatile and practical option for a wide range of purposes.